Connor Stallions back in the news, back in the headlines this week. Of course, that ties back into Sharon Moore, their new head coach, because of 52 deleted text messages on his phone that he got rid of. At least the NCAA, with the notice of allegations, is saying this. Whenever he learned that Connor Stallions was named in the report back in October, I believe, was it Halloween when this came out? It was mid-October or late October, naming Connor Stallions and the whole the Spygate 2.0 with the signals and the espionage that Connor Stallions was all about. Jim Harbaugh, of course, addressed it yesterday, which we'll get to in a moment. And then less than 24 hours later, here's the NCAA with their Committee on Infractions laying down a 4-year show cause through the Division I Committee on Infractions panel on Jim Harbaugh, former Michigan head coach, who violated recruiting and inducement rules, engaged in unethical conduct, and failed to promote an atmosphere of compliance and violated head coach responsibility obligations. Of course, Michigan and 5 individuals who currently or previously worked for its football program earlier reached agreement with the NCAA enforcement staff on violations concerning recruiting. And we have seen nothing but defiance on behalf of Jim Harbaugh, who's now the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. He's Teflon. He is Teflon Jim. It amazes me how in an era where we have everything on your video through your phone, you have all of these records, you have texts, certainly emails, that they get him on recruiting violations during COVID, which at first was circulated, oh, this is over a hamburger. It was much more than that. The NCAA Committee on Infractions took offense to that. They laid down the hammer here. 4-year show cause. Plus, if you were ever to come back to college football and coaching, you have to sit out a year as well. You'd be suspended for a year to join any university as their football coach. But, Chad, now he's the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. And while this, in essence, it feels like he's done as a college coach, I mean, who knows? With a guy who has done nothing but show how tough it is to really get him on anything. This goes to the recruiting violations during COVID, not anything to do with Connor Stallions. And his attorney, Tom Mars, released this statement today. The way I see it from Coach Harbaugh's perspective, today's Committee on Infractions decision is like being in college and getting a letter from your high school saying you've been suspended because you didn't sign the yearbook. If I were in Coach Harbaugh's shoes and had an $80 million contract as head coach of the Chargers, I wouldn't pay any attention to the findings of a kangaroo court which claims to represent the principles of the nation's most flagrant repeat violator of the federal antitrust laws. That from Tom Mars. Chad, let's start with that statement in reaction to the 4-year show cause, and then, of course, the 1-year suspension after this is served if he comes back as a coach. This is slapping the wrist of a guy who you don't anticipate ever coming back to college football. And it's before the next season even starts, but you couldn't get him the season he was actually coaching.
Yes, and brilliant response from Tom Mars. I love his statement on it. And I love the analogy about the college student getting penalized for something in high school and the high school trying to do something that's not going to affect him at all because he's got this contract now, the Chargers making a ton of money. I think a number of things are true in this story. The NCAA is toothless. Yeah. Nobody respects them. Nobody respects their process. Nobody respects their history. Nobody respects how slow they were to understand they were a dying institution and that athletes were going to get paid, and they fought it, and they fought it, and they fought it, and they said things that made them look out of touch and, quite frankly, silly at times. They have levied punishment to coaches and schools at times that now, in hindsight, look pretty silly. So it's not the most trustworthy institution going when we're talking about the NCAA. On the flip side of that, I mean, Jim Harbaugh, for all of his confidence and swagger and sayings and his enthusiasm and everything else, I mean, the guy's probably lying about this. Either that or he's just so oblivious to rules and he's living in his own world, which could quite frankly be true, that he's created his own set of moral code and rules and doesn't even understand why there were rules in place during COVID or why you can't send Connor Stallions in Central Michigan gear to the sideline of the Michigan State game. That's just him being smart. I think that he kind of has his own rule book in his head that he himself has set forth for himself. So he is living in this imaginary sandbox of Jim Harbaugh's world of football. And if you're in Jim Harbaugh's world of football, he's God. He makes the rules. This man is Moses. He is parting the Red Sea, and he's going to tell you about it, and he is always righteous and sanctimonious about it. I think he's living in his own head. I think he absolutely broke the rules. I think he probably knew what was going on breaking the rules. I don't think he cared. And while the NCAA is completely toothless, the one thing the NCAA always comes down hard on is lying to them, arrogance, defiance. What's the term? Lack of compliance, non-compliance that we're hearing with Jim Harbaugh. He checks all those boxes. What does it matter to Jim Harbaugh? Absolutely nothing, because the guy's getting paid to coach in the NFL, and he's not going to be back in college until after 2028 anyways.
Yes.
Even if he sucked with the Chargers and was fired in 2 years, he would sit 2 years out before getting back into coaching if he had to, or he would go coach on as an assistant in the NFL for a year or two, then get back into college coaching. And guess what would happen in 2028 if Jim Harbaugh was an available college coaching option? Some school would break the damn bank to hire him, because the last time he coached in college, he won a natty. No one cares how he got it. No one cares about Connor Stallions. No one cares about COVID-19 recruiting, illegal inducements, any of those things. In 2029, if he is flamed out of the NFL and he wants to coach in college, he will get the best job on the market, and they will pay top dollar for him.
And who knows?
That is my prediction, because no one cares.
But who knows what's the framework of college football in 2028-29? What rules are in place then? How much are they giving?
Is the NCAA still in charge of football? I think they're going to be in charge of most sports, but are they in charge of major football?
They have this proposal out there and all this where they're trying to include everyone, and they'll have this super league, so to speak, and it will have a different rule book, a different playbook on how you be a part of that, and who's the commissioner of college football, so to speak. But how much attention, how much are they giving to anything that is handed down in August of 2024? I have no idea. And the other thing, I said Teflon Jim. He's more like Teflon Don, because no one's rolling on this guy. From his attorney Tom Mars discussing their reaction to the 4-year show cause that has nothing to do with Connor Stallions and the sign stealing, to the actual sign stealing, where Sharon Moore, Harbaugh's offensive coordinator last year, now the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, he's implicated in this for deleting text messages to Connor Stallions. Jim Harbaugh, after practice yesterday, we're monitoring to see when they wrap up practice today to see what Harbaugh has to say about this. He'll be asked about it, because you asked about the new report, the notice of allegations from the NCAA to Michigan that's supposedly going to be handed over to them that implicates Moore with Stallions. Here's Jim Harbaugh responding to that. And when you hear this, consider that you're listening to, Chad, I don't know, Conor McGregor, or maybe Tyrion Lannister as he demands trial by combat.
Yeah, I do have a comment on that. Never lie, never cheat, never steal. I was raised with that lesson. I have raised my family on that lesson. I have preached that lesson to the teams that I've coached. No one's perfect. If you stumble, you apologize, and you make it right. Today, I do not apologize. I did not participate, was not aware, nor complicit in those said allegations. So for me, It's back to work and attacking with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
Today, I do not apologize. I'd like to start every morning by saying that declaration.
Today, tomorrow, forever.
You get up in the morning, drop to my knees and pray, and then stand up and say, today, I do not apologize for who I am.
I would like to apologize to absolutely no one. I hear Conor McGregor in that.
Jim Harbaugh is hilarious with his swagger. Now, I want to hear if he responds to this, because this is completely separate to the Connor Stallion stuff. That was him being asked about Connor Stallions and his involvement with that, where he has claimed ignorance throughout, that if something was going on, he knows nothing about it. That was a rogue agent in Connor Stallions that was doing that. So, which is muddied because Sharon Moore is deleting texts with him the moment the story breaks. I don't think you're doing that unless you're a little bit worried about your correspondence with that person.
Sure.
But he has denied any wrongdoing with Connor Stallions. On this one, he broke the rules. There's no way around it. Like, he clearly did it. Then they called him out on it. He thought the rule, I'm sure, was useless and dumb, which, quite frankly, a lot of NCAA rules are useless and dumb. Regardless, if you broke the rules and then you deny it, or you lie about it, or you obfuscate things, or you hide other things, they're going to levy a big punishment. This is a big punishment for the NCAA. That means nothing to Jim Harbaugh, because he's not going to be back in college football before 2029.
Well, and he wants to be an NFL coach.
Yeah.
Right? He went back to Michigan. The only way I think he would go about trying to get back in as a head coach is different rule structure, of course, but just in spite of all of this, just to prove that he could walk right back in.
Yeah, I think it would be failure, honestly. Like, if he failed with the Chargers and wasn't getting head coaching opportunities again in the NFL for a third time, then I think he'd go back to college. And my prediction is, if he declared himself through his agent a free agent for college football, every top job in America that opens up that year will be knocking down his door and giving him whatever he wants to be the head coach.
Because by then there's only a one, maybe two more, because the dominant teams are going to be the dominant teams of head coaches that have national championship caliber shelves in their office, with memorabilia and coach of the year honors. There's not many of them right now. There's Mac Brown is a national championship winning coach.
Are there three?
Dabo,
Kirby Smart, and Mac Brown.
Yeah. Think about that. Of all the coaches that are, touted as top of the line, there's not many that say, we want a title. Harbaugh can.
Yeah. And he would walk right back into college football.
No doubt, man.
When eligible after 2028, and he's going to get anything that he wants if he wants to be a head coach again. So I'm cynical about all these things.
Me too.
I think that Jim Harbaugh is lying through his teeth. I think he loves playing this game about my mama and daddy taught me this, and I am not apologizing for anything, and that's who he is, and fine, whatever. I'm not buying it. The NCAA didn't buy it, but no one's buying the NCAA. So you got two sides of this thing that no one really is buying either side of it. And because of that, you've got a big nothing burger of a 4-year show cause.
Chad, I don't know if I'm buying this Colorado report about what's going on in the locker room and the culture of Coach Prime that Athlon Sports put out through Steve Corder, a reporter that we cannot find, okay? We've tried now for 2 straight days. Chad picked up on this, and Chad, if you don't mind, give like the Cliff Notes version of what we're discussing. Because I think by now, most know the report. I don't think most know that the reporter is very difficult to find.
Yeah, so the quote from the story, this is from a former player, no longer with Colorado. It's like a real-life Grand Theft Auto video game. There are many distractions with fights, guns, and money floating around. The environment is unlike any I've come from before. Cormani McClain, bullied by Shiloh Sanders, slapped around by Shiloh Sanders. He transferred. Jordan Seaton, 5-star freshman, allegedly bullied into proving his manhood and fighting former Colorado offensive lineman Savion Washington, leaving both men bruised and bloodied in a fight, kind of a code red situation.
Described as
you guys will fight each other.
Two bears scrapping over food is how it was described in this report.
Backup quarterback Colton Allen demanding payment of a $10,000 gambling debt to the son of Caleb Mathis, the son of Kevin Mathis, Caleb. Kevin Mathis, the defensive backs coach at Colorado. Caleb, a wide receiver. Caleb didn't like being demanded the $10,000, so he beat the hell out of Colton Allen and fought him in front of people, another allegation. And what we get from Deion Sanders in response to this is essentially him saying, you're doing well when they start lying.
Well, when they start making up. And then, you've got Cormani McClain, I believe, who is saying, like, Cap, or responding with Cap to one of the posts on social. Again, it's all. But the reporter on this is Steve Quarter. And, Chad, it's normally, if you have a report like this, you go on many different shows. And you're discussing.
Well, also, you have a Twitter account.
You have a Twitter account, but you're discussing what you know and who you were told, who the anonymous sources. And it's about Deion Sanders in Colorado. There's going to be a lot of requests for this guy, not just us.
Yeah.
And I still haven't heard or seen on social where anything's been tagged that they've had this guy on as a guest.
Well, and I sent this out to a number of friends in online media.
Yes.
Excuse me. And
they've never heard of this guy.
Never heard of him. People that worked at Athlon, they have no idea who it is. Adam Brown on our staff sent out something to Colorado. They acknowledged, never given this person a credential. They
never
don't know
met
who
him.
they are, never met them in person. And then some of my media friends, somebody came back and said, well, it's just some clown trying to get clicks. And I'm thinking, if you're a clown trying to get clicks, you'd want your name out there.
Exactly.
You'd want to sell your own social media accounts. You'd want to do this. I mean, this a clown trying to get clicks just for Athlon, I guess, that wants no acknowledgement himself for the story, but yet has written a lot of aggregated stories about Colorado.
And in
that
the world
part of it is confusing.
And in the world of AI, we saw this with Sports Illustrated a couple of months back. Who owns and who runs Athlon now?
Arena Group,
which also runs Sports Illustrated. And they were using AI, putting a headshot and a name with a report. And a lot of that is just aggregated news that then is pushed to the site to make content for said site, get clicks for said site. In this case, it's an Athlon report. Athlon Sports is citing anonymous sources that this guy has obtained. So it's different than just, hey, this is what's being reported by another outlet, and here are the details summarized by AI. Colorado, in their athletic department, did put out issued a statement. We were issued this through Curtis Snyder, the Associate AD of Athletic Communications for Colorado. CU Athletics has no comment. We're excited with the way the team is coming together after a week of camp and are looking forward to an excellent season under Coach Prime, starting with our game against North Dakota State on August 29th at Folsom Field. No comment, Chad, means they're not confirming nor denying the details of this.
No comment to me is admission that it happened, or we can't prove that it didn't happen. And not enough people are saying it absolutely didn't happen. And no one knows who Steve Quarter is, so I'm not even going to give a comment to some click farm and tell you whether it's true or not.
But here's the thing, this deserves attention either.
Well, if it was Pete Thamel
I know.
that had this report,
but to me,
they would issue a comment or they would investigate it at least, or Deion would come out and say it's not true or whatever. But they don't even feel the need to acknowledge this right now because not an awful lot of people have really picked up on it.
So I haven't been paying attention to First Take. This is a lead for First Take. If it's Pete Thamel that's reporting this, Chad.
Yeah.
That's my point. It's a big story either way. The details are either accurate or there's bad blood and someone has a vendetta and they're wanting this out right before the season starts that has since transferred. Or it's totally false, it's fake, and it's AI, and now another version of this has happened through the same company. And in this case, they're quoting anonymous sources. but very specific details. Either way, it's a story, but it just hasn't picked up any traction.
I think it's because of the source. I think people are asking some of the same questions I've been asking. Who is this person? Why have they never attended a Colorado event? They don't host a show. They're not on YouTube. They don't have a podcast.
Their X account links to a woman.
Yeah, it's hard to understand what's going on. Mike Farrell, who formerly was a big writer with, I think, Rivals, has his own website. I'm trying to find other media sources that have picked this up. Mike Farrell Sports website, a guy named Scott Salomon, has a column up of 8 hours ago that says, if the allegations are true, you should step down immediately. And it goes into the story from, now they say in this one, Steve Corden of Athlon Sports. We see it as Steve Corder.
That's the way it's listed on the Athlon site.
But goes into the report by Athlon Sports and links it here. So that's at least someone else referencing the report. There's not a lot of references to the report.
What are these Colorado edits?
There are references to Colorado putting out a practice highlight video that appears to be, if you watch closely, I saw people making fun of this last night, and I didn't understand. They were tagging me on it, and I'm like, what am I looking at? What am I
What's
seeing here?
What's the purpose of this? Yeah.
Yeah, like, is the hand signal they're doing at the end? Are they mocking something? Is this like Brandon Miller getting patted down for guns after the murder?
Are they blocking us again?
Of the young mom? I don't know what they're making fun of or what's happening. We'll let you see it, and you can see. Now, when I tell you like where it is, this is like getting one of those pictures where you have to look through the image to find the hidden object. If I tell you what it is that you're looking for, it's very easy to see what it is. What you're looking for is an edit that if you watch the start of the video, it looks pretty clearly like the ball is going one direction and out of bounds, nowhere near a receiver, and then they do a quick cut, and it's a touchdown in a different part of the end zone, making it look like they edited an incompletion into a touchdown and a celebration. You be the judge. Here's a start. Shedeur Sanders, look, throw and look.
Yeah, that's not a touchdown.
Completely behind, right? Like to the right, completely behind. Looks like someone on a go route at the start of it. Looks like it's thrown behind the receiver, out of bounds.
Darts
incomplete.
only.
And then suddenly, Hutton, it's like a back of the end zone on the left side. Watch, now the receiver's going left, it looks like. See? On that side of the end zone for a touchdown.
Yes.
Okay, so I think pretty clearly a bad edit job and terrible job by Colorado.
Bad edit.
They couldn't find one offensive highlight. It's like someone went out there for one play. It's like the local TV person that has to get, they have to go from game to game, and they get one random play of B-roll, and it's just like a 3-yard gain, and they got to go to the next high school game and get some of that, and it's just a stop after 5 yards.
Whatever you can get while you're there. You're begging for a big play.
Here's this missed extra point that we're going to show on the news tonight, and that's all you have. It's like someone on their video team got out there and said, I'm only going to be here because I got to get to biology. I've got one play to watch, and it was an incompletion. Then their buddy got there later and saw a touchdown, and they spliced the two together to make it look better. Arkansas, and I love good social media department fights when teams get a little bit cheeky with each other. Here was Arkansas football mocking the darts only with their own highlight video and edit. Here you go. The drop back, Hutton.
Yes.
Throw to the right, 5 yards down the field that turns into a long bomb.
Fantastic.
In the air. Here we go. Look, this is just something very quick throw, and then boom, ball's way in the air. Touchdown, Arkansas. Brilliant. Yeah, bravo.
Much better
Hogs.
Camera work, too, by Arkansas.
Good job, Hogs.
There's the difference between the Big 12 money and
well, you know what they say about the SEC? It just means a little bit more, and apparently sense of humor is also more, and more of abundance in the SEC as opposed to Colorado. That was a really bad edit job. Really, really bad.
But hilarious. I hope this keeps going.
Deion Sanders has like a team of camera people around him at all times.
Yeah.
You would think that their video department would be top notch.
Maybe they have an edict. They have to show a touchdown
if I was a college kid that wanted to do, social media, highlight films, editing, Colorado would be a cool place to go right now and try to take advantage of Coach Prime being there and getting access to that program and videoing things. Their department needs some work, from what I'm seeing.
Yesterday we had on the bus, off the bus, is Coach Prime, is Deion Sanders at Colorado beyond this year. He's not if these allegations are true. But I just don't get I said I was off the bus with him leaving after this year, that this is his final year. Just because Chad, if 48 hours later we still don't know if this dude is a real reporter covering Colorado, then we're not going to know. Will we find out? Will we find out from Central Michigan? Will they confirm that Connor Stallions was on their sideline? Or will we learn that Steve Quarter is real? Which comes first?
And it's truly, to me, like it's incredible what large media wants to make a story and what they choose to ignore. I think in a lot of ways, and it could be by outlet, it could be by any number of things. I think we see it with OutKick a lot, where OutKick will have a huge story that gets a lot of traction for OutKick, and there are other outlets just like this, but isn't necessarily the mainstream story because mainstream doesn't decide to pick it up. Here you have, to me, a pretty big bombshell about Colorado football with multiple different incidents, but
during a time of year where these bombshells generally drop.
We can't identify the reporter. No one seems to be able to locate this person. It's at a company that was reputable with their college football magazine, really one of the best going for years and years with Athlon, had really produced really good writers also and editors, but now is seen more as a click farm. So now they've got a big story and a big report, and it just gets people raising their eyebrows. And because of that, Hutton, I think the story's dead. I think it led to some really good discussion on this show for a couple days. I think Mike Farrell Sports got a good column out of it. I think a few sites picked it up. But outside of that, I don't think this is going anywhere.
Well, it's not going anywhere, but the story's not dead because it would be Athlon Sports faking this. You see what I'm saying?
If Athlon Sports faked it, though, I think we'd have this has been a 5 or 6 day old story now. We'd get a much juicier. Can we go to that comment from Colorado one more time that they just released? CU Athletics has no comment. We're excited with the way the team is coming. This is the comment to me of an athletic department saying, no one is picking this up, and we're not going to add steam to it by commenting. We also cannot deny it. If it was an outright fabrication, no one had ever heard of these things happening, these guys are lying, there's no truth to it, there would have been a quick
or there's one thing in there that is real.
There would have been guys, this is bullshit. Deion Sanders statement or Colorado statement. They haven't said that. So I think that they're content with this thing not getting picked up by mainstream media, and that's what's happened so far.
Yeah, and normally it's not Colorado that has a statement. It's Deion or Deion Sanders Jr. through Deion's Twitter account.
Yeah,
or X account that goes to,
or Lil Wayne's X account,
or Lil Wayne's.
Lil Wayne's their publicist.
Or Lil Wayne's.
He can get the word out for him.
Jed, the Algerian Olympic boxer Aman Khalif. Khalif is on to the gold medal bout. Another win in the semifinal. Said coming into the Olympics, the goal was to win gold. One more pummeling away from doing just that. Of course, it's XY chromosomes that were found in the test that the IBA says that they found in the genetic testing back in 2023 at the World Championships that disqualified Aman Khalif from competing. The IOC has allowed Khalif to compete against women, and Khalif continues to just roll through the competition.
Just win.
Doing just that.
Boy, I tell you what, every 4 years.
I actually saw NBC and Tirico cover this yesterday.
Did they talk about it?
They at the end of the national broadcast, saying that Khalif on to the final, and that at least there in Paris, at wherever they're competing, Khalif is getting a great support from the crowd, is how it was termed. Again, don't know.
Yeah, probably didn't get too much into the controversy.
Well, just that the IOC, based on what they allow, it's totally it's totally with the rules of whatever the IOC restrictions are, or what is considered acceptable in their eyes, in their committee's eyes.
By the way, Thailand's boxer that Khalif defeated, I just love this name. Janjam Sawanapeng. Great name. Janjam. Sorry. about the loss. Sorry you had to go through that. Every 4 years, the Olympics just produce these just Cinderella feel-good stories. And Amon Khalif just joins the pantheon of feel-good stories.
Lin Yuting.
I'm just blown away by, like, the teary-eyed dances happening after the wins. And, like, everyone, oh, my gosh, yes. Again, another victory. This is great. Let's cheer this on. And I'm thinking something's up, people. Something is up, and you can just use your own eye to figure out that something
Gold
is
medal
up.
bout will be on Friday.
I have now found on YouTube 3 or 4. This is kind of like the rabbit holes you go down sometimes, Sutton. I found 3 or 4 doctors. They're all consistently, which is rare even in the scientific community these days for people to agree. But every doctor that I've watched present something on YouTube about what's happening here.
Yeah.
And what they can tell from it, all agree that not really male, not really female at birth has signs of both, and then it trends one direction or the other. And one person was willing to say should not be allowed to compete in the female division, and the other 2 they defined it the exact same way, but also said, it's not my expertise to say what they should do in the Olympics or not. Because this person basically would not be able to, they would not be competitive because of some of the female characteristics also if they competed on the men's side.
Right.
Also, probably not fair to compete against women. So you have some
But the Y chromosome,
genetic defect that puts them in the
by and
middle
large,
area of
the
it.
Y chromosome is going to allow you to be more dominant
Yes.
in athletic competition, especially, and it goes across the board. Especially, though, at this level of competition. Clay Travis about to join us, discuss this among other headlines, plus his weightlifting ability.
Is it going to be a teary, emotional moment when Khalif stands on that podium with the Algerian anthem playing?
Yeah.
I can't get behind this part of it, especially. Now suddenly it's a feel-good story? No, it's not.
No.
It's not. Stop it.